This is the Caribbean storm that didn't just destroy homes. It shattered an entire economy. In this video, we are going to look at the story behind Jamaica's economic collapse after Hurricane Melissa. We'll explore how a Category 5 storm wiped out agriculture, tourism, and infrastructure in hours, and why financial experts say it might redefine how the world views climate resilience. Stay tuned to uncover why this disaster is more than a local tragedy. It's a global financial red flag. Jamaica, the jewel of the Caribbean, home to 2.8 million resilient souls, rich music, and world-famous beaches. But beneath its beauty lies a constant battle: survival against the forces of nature. In late October 2025, that battle reached its breaking point. Hurricane Melissa roared across the Atlantic, gathering strength until it slammed into Jamaica with sustained winds of nearly 185 miles per hour. Winds so fierce they peeled rooftops like paper and erased entire communities overnight. Before the storm, Jamaica was already walking an economic tightrope. Public debt was heavy, agriculture was fragile, and the country's tourism lifeline was still recovering from global slowdowns. Yet no one imagined how quickly one event could bring an entire economy to its knees. When Melissa struck, the island's vulnerabilities were brutally exposed, not just to the Caribbean, but to the entire world. Long before Melissa ever appeared on satellite radar, Jamaica's economy showed worrying signs. The Bank of Jamaica projected negative growth between 1.5% and 0.5% for 2024-2025, a warning that the country's economic foundation was weakening. Agriculture, tourism, and remittances were the lifelines holding the nation together, but each of these pillars was already under stress. In rural parishes, farmers struggled with unpredictable rainfall and rising costs. About 80% of Jamaican farms are small and family-owned. Hard-working men and women tilling the same soil their ancestors did, depending on every harvest to feed their communities. The government had tried to safeguard against catastrophe. With the help of the World Bank, Jamaica secured a $150 million catastrophe bond, a type of insurance policy for nations, meant to offer financial protection if natural disaster struck before 2027. It was a smart move on paper, but no financial model could truly prepare for what was coming. The irony is chilling. Even with those safety nets, the storm that arrived would overwhelm everything. The country had built a system to survive a hit. It just never expected this hit. Then, late one October night, the winds began to howl. And by dawn, Jamaica would never be the same. When Hurricane Melissa made landfall, it didn't arrive quietly. It tore through the island like an unstoppable beast, shredding homes, toppling trees, and plunging the country into darkness. In just hours, over 60% of Jamaica lost electricity, and in some regions, 90% of roofs were ripped away. Entire towns along the southern coast were flattened. The agricultural heartlands, St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland, were among the hardest hit. Fields of yam, cassava and pumpkin were flattened under debris. Mango trees that had stood for generations were uprooted. Thousands of farmers saw their life's work vanish overnight. Fishing boats were tossed like toys against the shore, leaving coastal communities stranded and without income. But perhaps the most painful blow came to the tourism sector, the lifeblood of Jamaica's modern economy. Airports were closed, roads washed out, and seaside hotels destroyed. What had been bustling tourist resorts just days before now lay in ruin. With flights cancelled and ports shut, revenue vanished almost instantly. The world watched in shock as images flooded social media. entire neighborhoods underwater, families displaced, and once vibrant towns turned into ghost zones. But for Jamaicans, this wasn't just a viral moment. It was survival. The catastrophe bond would almost certainly pay out millions in relief. Yet those funds are reactive, not regenerative. They patch wounds, but don't rebuild the backbone of a nation. How does a country rebuild when its power grid, its food system, and its tourism engine all collapse at once? For many Jamaicans, the real fear wasn't the storm itself. It was what would come after. As the winds died down, the true scale of devastation became clear. Crops were gone, roads impassable, and thousands left homeless. Within weeks, food shortages loomed large. In local markets, the prices of staples like rice, flour, and vegetables began to climb sharply. Families found themselves rationing meals, and small communities relied on aid to survive. Jamaica's agriculture sector, which supplies both local needs and exports, faced a complete reset. Fields that once produced tons of food now sat waterlogged and sterile. With production down, the country turned more heavily to imports, pushing up costs and draining foreign reserves. The government scrambled to respond, mobilizing emergency teams and requesting international assistance. But rebuilding takes money, and Jamaica's budget was already stretched thin. Debt servicing left little room for new spending, while falling tax revenues created a financial chokehold. Then came the silent crisis: unemployment. Tourism shutdowns meant tens of thousands of workers, hotel staff, tour guides, taxi drivers were suddenly jobless. The economic ripple effect reached every corner of the island. Small shop owners, artisans, and local farmers all felt the squeeze. In Kingston, the financial district went quiet. Investors grew anxious. For the first time in decades, analysts began asking a chilling question: could Jamaica default? While global aid began trickling in, it was clear that recovery wouldn't happen overnight. The hurricane may have passed, but its aftershocks were just beginning to shape the island's future. Melissa's devastation wasn't just a Jamaican story. It was a global alarm bell. Small island nations around the world saw their own reflections in Jamaica's crisis. Melissa exposed a harsh truth. Economies built on tourism and agriculture are dangerously vulnerable to climate change. One storm can erase years of progress. Food security quickly became a regional concern. Jamaica exports crops like bananas and yams across the Caribbean. With production halted, neighbouring islands also felt the strain. Prices of imported goods surged and supply chains wobbled. Financial experts are now re-evaluating the effectiveness of instruments like catastrophe bonds. Yes, they provide emergency cash. But cash doesn't rebuild destroyed farms, schools, or ecosystems. And when global insurers face too many of these payouts, the entire financial safety net begins to crack. Melissa also raised a haunting question for the international community. What happens when multiple countries collapse at once? If one island's economy can be undone by a single hurricane, what about 10? This wasn't just about Jamaica anymore. It was about the fragility of global finance in the face of climate change. And the realization that money alone can't stop a planet growing hotter and storms growing stronger. Here's the twist few expected. Jamaica's real crisis isn't just physical destruction, it's structural. The hurricane didn't merely destroy buildings, it exposed how deeply dependent Jamaica had become on vulnerable sectors. Tourism, agriculture, and remittances, three pillars all at risk from global disruption. When all three collapsed at once, there was no fallback. Now, analysts fear Jamaica's economy may never return to its pre-storm form. The very systems meant to provide security, insurance schemes, aid programs, and foreign loans are proving insufficient for the climate age. Even worse, the disaster may mark the beginning of a new normal. Slower growth, rising debt, and deeper inequality could define Jamaica's next decade. It's a frightening prospect, not just for this island, but for every developing nation standing in the path of stronger, more frequent storms. If Jamaica's financial model buckles, what does that mean for countries like Barbados, St. Lucia, or the Maldives? The ripple effect could shake investor confidence across the developing world, triggering a chain reaction far beyond the Caribbean Sea. Hurricane Melissa was never just a storm, it was a stress test. And it's showing us that the global economic system might not be ready for the age of climate chaos. Jamaica's collapse after Hurricane Melissa is more than a local tragedy. It's a snapshot of a world on the edge. It reveals how climate change collides with economic fragility to create crises that money alone can't solve. The road ahead for Jamaica won't be about simply rebuilding the same old systems. It will demand reinvention, a shift toward resilient agriculture, diversified industries, and smarter climate financing. In a sense, Melissa didn't just destroy, it forced transformation. The question is whether Jamaica and the world will seize this moment to build differently. If this story opened your eyes, don't just scroll away. Hit the like button to support independent storytelling. Share this video with anyone who cares about the future of small nations, and subscribe so you never miss our next deep dive into the stories shaping our planet. And now, I want to hear from you. What do you think is Jamaica's biggest challenge in rebuilding? Is it food security, tourism reinvention, or surviving the next climate storm? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is just beginning.